Okay. Should be live. Everything should be good to go. Hop in the chat. Let's get going. Chase should be joining us here in a minute or so. He is at Kansas. He'll be joining from the phone just for a couple minutes. We'll get a recap of what it's like being in Allen Fieldhouse for this one. A lot to get to in this one. A lot to get to. It's not going to be positive, but that'll be for later on. All right. Let's keep moving on here. Everything should be good to go. So we'll get rocking and rolling here. Man, Richie Saunders. Alrighty, let's do this thing. Shout out the chat. Shout out Eli. Shout out Alex. And all right, let's do this thing. All right, 3, 2, 1. We're live. We are actually live right now, Saturday evening. It's almost 7 o'clock on the East Coast. I am snowed in North Carolina. Chase is getting out of Allen Fieldhouse right now. I'm sure he has absolutely zero connection getting out of that building in Lawrence, Kansas. So he might be hopping on for a minute to join from his phone. We'll keep you posted on that one as well. See what it was like behind the scenes of what it was like in the building at Allen Fieldhouse today. But a lot to get to from this one. The final score reads 90-82, Kansas over BYU. Darryn Peterson played I believe 3 minutes in the second half. Doesn't matter. He played a total of 20 minutes in this game. He had 18.6 of 8, 3 of 5 from 3, 3 of 4 from the free throw line. Absolutely dominant half from Darryn Peterson. And that's all Kansas needed. And that's how we're going to start this show off. That's all any of these good teams need against this BYU team right now is one good half. Because this first half BYU performances, it was okay. It's fun. You came back against UConn. Great. All right, that's fine. It's all right. Okay, you showed some fight. Bad first half. That happens. And then it just repeatedly, whether it was against Delaware, whether it was against Dayton, whether it was against Miami, whether it was against Arizona, whoever it may be, just bad first half. And their talent was able to keep them back in these games. But we've seen it. Who are the top 4 teams BYU has played up to this point? It's Kansas, Arizona, Texas Tech, and UConn. What happened in all of those games? Loss. Eventually you can't get by just off sheer talent. And that's why BYU has been skating by in these games. And still, the record looks better than it is, but the product on the floor just isn't there. The product on the floor isn't going to be even thinking about Indianapolis. The product on the floor says, hey, round of 32, hey, Sweet 16, we're ready to be upset. Because that's what it looks like. In round of, I guess Sweet 16 at this point wouldn't be an upset because this BYU team's staring at a 5 seed in the face, according to bracketology at Fielding the 68. Go watch and go subscribe to that show. But these first half starts are just unacceptable. And I understand you can say, Kansas shot 8 of 10 from 3 in the first half. That's, really good job by Kansas. They got hot. That's kind of lucky. That's unlike this Kansas team. At some point, these teams aren't just shooting hot against BYU. At some point, BYU struggles on rotations. They're late on every rotation to the three-point line. There's a reason. You look, Kansas, a couple of those threes were contested. But you know what happens early on in these games is when these great players, especially a guy like Darryn Peterson or even Melvin Council, when you give these guards so much space and so much room to work with, and they hit their first couple shots, their confidence is through the roof. And then when you're playing a team like with Braden Berries in Arizona or Jaden Bradley at Arizona or Darryn Peterson at Kansas or Christian Anderson at Texas Tech or Solo Ball at UConn, Alex Caravan, name a bunch of names. When you let them get going early, it's so much harder to stop it later on because these dudes are confident because it doesn't matter if you're putting a hand in their face. They're so confident they're going to knock down those shots. And it's BYU's lack of intensity on the defensive end. It's pitiful. Because BYU in the first half, you know what the ultimate calling card is of, hey, we're just not putting enough effort out on the floor today and we're kind of giving up, is when you decide to go zone because that feels like your only option because you're getting beat off the dribble every single time. BYU's a man-to-man team, and the reason they went zone is because they're just getting beat off man-to-man. They're just playing on their heels. They're not playing on their toes. Kansas had whatever they want, driving to the basket, getting to the paint. And then that opens up the 3-ball even more for Kansas. BYU wasn't stopping anybody at the point of attack. It was awful defensive effort by BYU on that end of the floor. Look, did Kansas hit some crazy shots in this game? Melvin Council's one-footed, shot at the end of the game. Yeah, that happens. But guess what? That's not the story of this game. The story of this game is BYU was down 53-33 at the half and then didn't really fully take advantage of the second half with Darryn Peterson checking himself out and not playing the entire game. That's a whole different story. But Darryn Peterson not playing the majority of the second half and BYU not taking advantage of it from a Kansas team that lacks any kind of creativity outside of Darryn Peterson. It was all Richie Saunders. Richie Saunders put this team on his back. Richie Saunders was unbelievable, 33 points in this game, career high. And the intensity and care in the fight that Richie Saunders showed, slowly the other guys followed suit. The other guys on the floor looked scared. It looked like they were seeing ghosts. It looked like Sam Darnold against, when he was on the Jets against the Patriots. They were seeing ghosts in Allen Fieldhouse in this game. They looked like the environment was too much for them. Richie Saunders was the only guy that looked truly comfortable in this moment, in this spot, and he was unbelievable in this game. If it wasn't for Richie Saunders throwing it all out there on the line, BYU should have lost this game by 45. And let's stop the cute little, BYU almost came back. BYU had the ball against Arizona left. They had the ball with, down one with a chance to win the game. That's cool. What did I watch for the other 38 minutes? They stunk. They got outplayed every facet of the game against Arizona, and the same in this Kansas game. Bill Self was coaching circles today. Darryn Peterson was absolutely cooking. And the narrative after this game is going to be Darryn Peterson should be the number 1 overall pick, but you know what? And you can talk about the whole injury thing. And honestly, this isn't a thing about dogging on AJ Dybantsa. I thought AJ was fine in this game. I actually really liked what AJ did today. I thought he was picking his spots really well. I think he was calm and poised, and he was looking for the open man. Guys just missed shots off of AJ's passes today. And I don't think he was as foul hunting as he was in the Arizona game. I thought he was fine. The big three was fine. Outside of that, that's once again a whole nother discussion we can get into. But the first half defense, I have a bunch of other notes to get to. We'll get into the chat, but Chase is joining us right now live from Allen Fieldhouse. Was that not a pro way to see? I didn't see you come in. What a transition right there.
I don't even know what you were saying, but I agree with all of it, Carter. I think chat's in good hands.
Chase, go ahead. Real quick before you go, because we're getting dodgy connection and everything, but I want you to go and have the floor for a minute. I'll just tell you real quick, a quick synopsis of what I was saying. I was just saying how pitiful the effort was in the first half on the defensive end and how, BYU is skating by just off talent and everything. We can get to the ball movement part of this where Chase and I really want to get into. But it's just, look, the 4 best teams BYU's played, it's no coincidence they've lost all 4 of those games. It's the slow first halves, and it's the lack of ball movement on the offensive end. And they almost got by on talent again today with Richie Saunders putting up 33. Chase, floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time trying to feel good about coming back and making it a game because it just happens every time. How awesome the second half felt in the moment doesn't really outweigh how ugly the first half was. And at the end of the day, you're walking away with a loss, and it's an 8-point loss to a Kansas team that is really, really good, but I really think, BYU has the caliber to beat them on most nights. It was awesome here. Fog Allen's insane, and that atmosphere was, bar none, the best I've been in basketball-wise. It was, full to the roof. Students lining up along the back wall because they just don't have enough seats. Just incredibly loud. They had the decibel thing at, over 120. I mean, and we were all the way up. We didn't get the bulk of the sound coming down through the court. It was just unreal. And I think that was a really big reason why BYU didn't perform as well as they could tonight. Obviously, it's the best home court advantage in college basketball. Some may disagree, like you, Carter, Duke fan. But man, it was intense. And you didn't see a lot of guys come up with a lot of energy, a lot of go-getting it, especially against the team. I really thought they had good matchups against this Kansas team. I didn't mind the switches half the time. I thought they could get some things offensively. We saw that in the second half, and they were able to start to move things along. But you can't always be a second half team, and especially in an environment like that. You knew when BYU got down big that it was going to take a miracle to climb back in it here at Fog Allen. Miracle almost happened in the form of Richie Saunders and a couple other guys stepping up, but it wasn't to be. I just think BYU and this coaching staff needs to prepare these guys a lot better for environments like this, for moments like this. They have a lot of time to learn. This isn't the end of the season or anything like that, but you knew that this is what this game was going to be like. You knew Peterson was going to want to show off. You knew the crowd was going to be insane. You had to start off the way like in a good way to really have a chance in this one. And you did. You got too far behind. You couldn't claw your way back, even though Peterson didn't play the entire second half. What are you going to do? All right.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about the comeback. The comeback was in the form of Richie Saunders. The comeback was also in the form of Darryn Peterson sitting on the bench. And like I texted you this, I said it just before on the show, where I was pissed off that I was frustrated that BYU wasn't able to take advantage of Peterson being on the bench and absolutely taking a chokehold of that game, because they lacked so much creativity without him on the floor, and you could see it, especially in those last 8 minutes of the game. I'm extremely disappointed with BYU across the board in this one. Outside of the big three, I said this as well, Chase. I wasn't really upset with AJ tonight. I know people are going to dog on AJ because he started off slow and didn't have a great first half and everything, but I thought he picked his spots really well. I thought he was calm. I thought he was looking for other guys. Dudes were just missing wide open shots off of his passes.
Yeah, I think I didn't mind AJ at all. Like on the offensive end, I thought like you said, he was getting hard doubles, and I think he was passing out of it, and he was taking care of the ball for the most part. I didn't mind him defensively. I thought he was giving effort on that end, and there was a lot of chirping, about it, like number 3 and stuff versus Peterson. Like, look, at least my guy plays, and he's out there giving effort and showing up, and he cares about basketball and all this stuff. Where I do want to point to is like 1 rebound and 1 assist. I don't know if the assists are quite his fault. Exactly, guys got to make shots. The 1 rebound is disappointing, especially against a Kansas team that really doesn't crash the offensive glass at all. I think that's a problem, and that AJ could have performed a little bit better. I think the biggest problem was in that moment when there was a comeback. What sucks is that BYU did enough offensively to really actually come back and steal this game. They just gave Kansas layup after dunk after layup, and like Kansas, yeah, they hit a hard shot there at the very end, and that kind of killed a lot of it. Okay, that was the one tough shot. Everything else in that second half for those 10 minutes straight, I mean, Kansas couldn't be. It was foul, dunk, layup, repeat. Defensively, I think that the lineup was not what it was, and then as soon as they put in Boop, things started to change. They got their stops. They really got back in it. Shout out Boop for hitting a 3. And then they went right back to it when they needed stops the most. They decided to throw Kostic, Boskovic back in that game, and it was ski lifts, man, to the hoop for these guys. And that was happening in the first half. That's why they had to go so much zone, because they were just getting blown past one-on-one. Like, it's happened before in these other games, Karter, where the on-ball defense is a problem. If you got to go zone, that means you've failed. You've failed man-to-man if you go zone, and you're looking and you're searching for answers. And it wasn't there. And during the comeback, you got to get stops to make it happen, because you can't just get in a shootout when you're down 20. They could not get stops, and it was easy buckets for Kansas in that second half.
Easy. It was just easy bucket. It was just Bedinga dunk, Tiller dunk, Melvin Council just gliding to the basket. I was saying it before, like BYU's a man-to-man team. They were just getting blown past there, and so when you go zone, it's a coward move, but I don't blame the coaching staff for doing it, because it's like, look, if you're all going to not play, if you're just not going to play hard on the defensive end and move your feet, then I have to go zone and stop this bleeding in some way. But there's too much talent and too much athleticism and too much length on this team to go zone. There's no excuses for that. That is an effort thing.
It's an effort thing, and that's the point. Like, when you saw them finally play good man-to-man defense, it's because guys like Richie Saunders were making big plays and bringing energy to the rest of the team, and they decided, look, we have a chance here. We're getting a little bit closer, so now we're going to all of a sudden sell out on defense. That's when they started getting stops. And we tell you all the time, 90% of defense is just how much you freaking care and the effort that you give. It wasn't there for this game for BYU. They weren't showing the kind of fight and drive that it takes to win in Fog Allen in that environment. You got to do something special to come away with a win, especially the way Darryn Peterson played, especially the way Kansas shot. Like, you have to do something special that comes from the effort. And it's disappointing to see BYU just not give as a care as much, especially when you see one guy, Richie Saunders, who I felt like was fighting and dying and wanted that one so bad and caring so much. And just not everyone quite match him. They tried to get there a little bit, right? They were riding his coattails, and that's when the defense came. But the other 35 minutes of the game, it wasn't there, and that's what got you in a 20-point hole, and you're not going to claw out of that.
No, you're not going to claw out of that. And Chase, I don't know how much longer you plan on spending on here, but I just want to give you a quick update. The starting 5 had 79 out of the 82 points. But shout out that Boop 3 though.
Hey, we've been calling for it for a long time. I thought the boot minutes changed everything. Go look. I mean, what's his plus minus? You got the stats pulled up right now? His on-off splits have got to be something
Chase.
pretty nice.
That's why I
It doesn't
brought up
help
the
us?
stats. No. It helps us big time.
What is it? What was his plus minus?
+5 tonight. For reference.
Oh my gosh.
For reference,
He won the
like
game.
AJ was -7. It was a blowout for a lot of this game. He was +5 tonight. That's a point I wanted to get to before you hop off as well. I think it's boop time for the starting lineup.
And you take Moo out? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I think so too. I couldn't believe how much he just didn't decide to play. And I know you want to throw it to Kostic, and it's like, look, can he get his threes? But the answer so quickly and clearly was no, that you just gotta bite the bullet and move on. And Boop was that guy, because I was talking to my friends here and I was like, we have to get Boop in just for the energy part, if nothing else. Like, Boop made a 3. That's awesome. That's just a cherry on top. But the things he does, he brings a toughness and an energy to this team that Richie used to do 3 years ago that they desperately needed. And when he got in, it was stop, stop, stop. They started putting together all these defensive stops, and that's when they crawled within 5 points. I mean, I think it's time. I think you're right.
And my point more for the Boop stuff is not because he hit the corner 3 or anything. It's that I don't have to look, everything about this BYU team feels hot and cold outside of the big 3 for the most part. The one constant I know with guys like Kada and Boop is that they're going to bring it 100% of the time. It's the energy on defense is there every single game. It doesn't matter if you're playing Delaware, Cal Baptist, or you're on the road at Allen Fieldhouse. And it also doesn't matter is, look, with like Moo Davis in this game, like you could see like in the Arizona game, his defensive intensity went up 500, and you saw how great of a defender he can be when he's knocking down threes and he's got more confidence and things are rolling. But then when you miss your first 3 shots for Moo, you could see he was a little dejected. He was swiping a little bit more. That same effort and intensity wasn't there. Boop, it doesn't matter. Every single time you put him on the floor, is he limited offensively? Are his hands the best? Not at all. Doesn't matter. He's still bringing the energy 100% of the time. And even if it means he doesn't play as much as Moo Davis comes out and plays a nice like 6-man role, that's fine. You need that energy from the jump of these games, and that's what's going to help BYU in these first halves going forward, is having Boop start these games and set the tone defensively. I don't care about the offense. The offense has its own problems with lack of ball movement, too much iso ball, and a bunch of other things. That can all be fixed by just locking in on the defensive end of the floor.
To your point, like, I get that you're trying to get cute with the Kostic stuff. Like, who can get us a point? And we can talk all the time. Who outside of the 3 is going to score? Who outside of the starting 5 is going to score? Sometimes, who cares if they score? I want Boop because he gives that energy. Like you're saying, I wouldn't mind Diamande minutes. He's gonna put up 20 points? Not even close. But at least he's gonna give this defensive effort, and he's gonna bring energy to the floor, and he's gonna hound the other ball handlers. Like, that's the thing that you got to buy into, and the points can come. Like, Boop can be a scorer in spots when you need him, like he was tonight. And I think Diamande has that in him. But I know I'm not in practices. We say this all the time. I don't know what it looks like in the middle of the week, so I can't say for sure. And we might sound stupid to people who are there. But I see what I see on the floor, and this team lacked energy and effort tonight in order to show up for a massive, massive national all eyes are watching game, except for a couple guys who bring it every time, like you said. And that made a big difference in making it even a close game. But, Karter, I'm going to have to hop off here. Thanks for having me on. I'm sorry for the phone stuff. Chat, I love you. Take it easy on Karter. All right. Season's not over, folks. Excited to do a little bit of breakdown this week. Going to get into some film with K-Man, and we're gonna kick it.
Yeah, we got some fun stuff coming out, so make sure to follow on all socials because we're gonna do some film breakdowns as well. So fun stuff. Chase, safe travels. Have fun in Kansas for me. All right.
Thank you, brother. See ya.
All right. Peace out. All right, we'll dive into the chat. That's enough of me blabbering and Chase blabbering. It's time to hear from you guys. All right, this is a big night, so I'm going through here. Cosmos Adderall. This is where we should probably start here. Is if I can change the timer on this. Jack giving up the cow suit is tragic. Whoa. Oh, here it is. Jack Carpenter said, maybe it's on me, man. Might need to stop wearing the cow suit. Jack Carpenter at the game in Allen Fieldhouse tonight. If you saw any of the clips from the church ball count, that was actually from Jack. So shout out Jack, giving us some great content there. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's Jackie. I think the mime costume might have to come out, or maybe there's something with Boop. I don't know. Kimley said this team might not make it to the second weekend with how bad the defense is looking. At this point, I think they get by on sheer talent alone. I don't think they get caught in an embarrassing upset to let's say they're a 4 seed, 5 seed to a 12-13. Then they would go up against a 4 in the next round. So you're looking at like a team kind of like Kansas-ish. Yeah. I mean, this defense is an absolute problem right now. You give up to a Kansas team that is historically terrible, not great from 3, and overall in the game, 50%. You're 8 of 10 in the first half from 3. 8 of 10. And I'm pointing to the first half numbers because second half numbers, if you don't have the consensus number 1 pick in the draft right now, according to all mock drafts and Darryn Peterson, that's a bit of a different number because BYU is able to pack in the lane more, and even though you thought they should have, but they were so worried about the 3 ball going into the second half that they let up giving up so many drives and easy layups and fouls in the second half. So, shout out Duke Monty in the chat. Carter Cast appearance loading, brother. I love it. I want to get to here. Johnny Jackson, the Emperor. Okay, man, right on. I love it. Without Richie, this team is toast. I agree with that, but you could do that for so many teams in college basketball at the same time, where it's like, if Duke didn't have Cam Boozer, they'd be toast. Like, yeah, probably they wouldn't be anywhere near a national title contender. But I get what you're saying here, though, is that the Richie's effort and intensity and fight, that's what this that is. He's showing the leadership and what a leader on a championship contending team's supposed to look like. As the rest of the team followed suit, have things gone that way? No, but Richie's bringing it every single night. And man, shout out Grant Farley, who's always in the chat. He's in Japan right now. He's texting me during the game, and he was saying that I'll let the chat figure this one out and let's see if they agree or not. He said, let's not butcher this quote. Let's pull this off right now. He said, it's loading. He said, we are going to miss him more. We're going to miss Richie Saunders more than any player in the modern era besides Jimmer. I'll let the chat deal with that one. So, all right, moving on to the chat. BYU has to move Saunders to the backup role so substitutions can score more. So you're saying like he comes on like a Tyler Hero 6-man role? Okay. Going back here, I can explain. Last year the Big 12 was a shell of the Big 12 was a shell of this year. We had 3-point shooters last year too. I think this is to a point earlier back in the chat. I'm trying to catch up with everyone. Sorry about what we were saying here and everything, but let's go to Kinley's chat earlier on. He says, I like Kevin Young, but does he run anything? It's running these pseudo NBA ISO sets where it's just clear out. The problem with so many NBA teams right now, and I think this is kind of a fault of this coaching staff, is you become so obsessed with spacing, so obsessed that you don't want to mess with any type of spacing where you're all spread out and you want the lane as open as possible. Is that when you're so obsessed with it, when you don't run anything off ball through the paint and people cutting baseline and anything, it becomes so stale, and then guys can help off, and it becomes so predictable. And in the college game, there's just not enough space to run that type of NBA offense. We said this nonstop last season up until the second half of the Colorado game, and that's when the team figured out, hey, we got to push the ball, tempo, move it, shoot a lot of threes. That's who we are. We're not a one-on-one team. Let me break some news here right now. No college basketball team is a one-on-one college basketball team. That is not how college basketball works. That is not how college basketball is won. Watch any national title team ever in the sport of college basketball. Were they an ISO team? Did they go one-on-one all the time? Really? Not one. Go back and look. It doesn't matter how many NBA guys they had on their roster. They're moving the ball. Maybe the most ever, and I have to watch more film on this because, I'm not old enough to remember this team was like maybe like Melo and Syracuse, but guess what? I bet they moved the ball a heck of a lot more than this current BYU team or a lot of teams at this point that want to run these heavy ISO offense like we see in the NBA. But like, you know what, man? You know what this offense looks like right now? I turn on BYU games right now, and I see this offense, and it looks like an average Tuesday night on League Pass, Wizards versus Pelicans. It's just clear out, move the ball, high pick and roll, No 5-man offense. No, you're not pushing the ball or anything. You know what offense wins right now is obviously the 2018 Warriors and everything, but like the Hornets where they're moving the ball, passing it, sharing it. That's how you win in college basketball. That's how you win in basketball in general. The ISO stuff does not fly. It can get you to a certain point, but eventually you have what sets you over the top and makes you a championship level team and separates teams from the rest is moving the ball, playing together, unselfish play. That's it. Moving on, Wise Gamora said, career night for Richie. If others step up, BYU will have a chance. Angela said, Richie has put the team on his back more than once. I'm wondering what on earth is going on with the BYU coaching staff. It seems that these other coaches are getting more out of less. Am I wrong? Interesting. That's kind of a great transition into my point of when you run these ISO offenses, it's so tough. We've talked about this all year long. It's so tough as a shooter if you're not the one with the ball in your hands all the time to be in rhythm. And NBA guys are so good that they can come off the bench, play 8 minutes a game, touch the ball 3 times in a game, and knock down a couple threes and come off cold because they're just that freaking talented. In college basketball, you're just not going to find role players that are that talented. You might get it a few nights here and there, but consistently, you're not going to find that night after night. So therefore, everybody has to touch the ball. If you play any level of basketball, you have to touch. Everyone has to touch the ball. Everyone has to be moving. Everyone has to be involved, or else you're going to feel a little bit not interested in the play. You're not going to have that same intense effort on defense. And then when you do eventually get the ball in offense randomly, you're going to force things a little bit more because you're like, I don't know when I'm going to get this ball back. And it's not a ball hog thing, excuse me. And people are going to point to AJ Dybantsa, it's like, oh, it's AJ ISO. I just think he's being put in bad positions where I thought he really played well out of it tonight, but I think he's just getting put in not so great positions to where, like he is running the ISOs and he can do that, but he's not able to display his full talent. And it's hurting the team, honestly, by running just so much isolation. So, but I understand why you have to do that sometimes. But let's see here. Going on, Kevin Young needs to change his strategy. It's not working. Our 4 losses feel like 10. It's interesting, too, because, like, you look at the final scores of these games, and I can't remember what the Texas Tech one is off the top of my head, but none of them look like blowouts, but they all felt like blowouts in the game because, in reality, they were. Jack said in the chat, we are in the does Kevin Young actually know what he's doing phase of the BYU season. Means we are about to hit our stride. So let's dive into this point a little bit more. At this point last season, BYU had lost to Utah team that was awful, and then BYU that was rock bottom. First half of Colorado, awful, and then the second half they figured some things out, and then they went on the road and won against UCF. I mean, it's just being able, just figuring it out. Like, I have faith in this coaching staff that they can get it done. They're smart dudes. We've seen it before, but you can look at this game and think this is honestly a good thing that they lost this game and didn't have a chance to win it with the ball. Where you can say, "Oh, we were within 3 or whatever." You can say, they showed some fight in the second half, and in majority it was Richie Saunders. They needed maybe just a bit of humbling or something to say, hey, this isn't going to work. Once again, the top 4 teams you played against, you've lost. And it hasn't looked great in any of those games outside of, some chunks of end of second halves and whatnot when the game's out of reach in garbage time. It's like when a quarterback fluffs his numbers in garbage time. It's like, oh, well, the quarterback actually had 200 yards passing. It's like, well, 80 of them came on the last drive. They're playing prevent coverage down, and the other team was down 20. So people are saying bring back Pope in the chat. I'm good. Hey, Mark Pope. We're good. Wise Gamora saying Ahmed missing layups from 2 inches away. Well, when he's 12 feet tall and could dunk, multiple missed alley-oops by Keita, unacceptable. The bigs did not play well in the offensive end tonight, and it was weird watching the Ahmed post-ups because he's asking for the ball, but then the second he get the ball, he's scared. He was like, I don't want to take the shot. It's like, well, why are you asking for it then? Like, you're not even going to be a decoy because everyone knows you don't want to take that shot. It was weird. I think a lot of guys in this game, and this can't be overstated enough because Kansas, right there, them and Duke are the top environments in the country and top home court advantages in the country. Just a lot of these dudes looked like, what did I just walk into with Allen Fieldhouse in this game? I thought Bill Self coached a great game, and also Darryn Peterson, man. Effortless, just effortless. I mean, the dude floats, he glides. Oh my goodness. Also, what has happened to Caba's volleyball swat? I just don't think he had as many chances at it tonight, but I could be wrong. Need to go back into the film. Eli said, great question. Would you rather redo that because this might get clipped off from Eli? Would you rather lose to Kentucky in the second round of the NCAA tournament or lose in the first round? I think this is an unbelievable question. So, would you rather have the BYU rematch against Mark Pope in Kentucky in the second round and lose to them, or would you rather just get the loss out of the way and lose to a team like Duquesne or what, some mid-major champion at the 13-12 seed? I think I'd just rather lose in the first round, especially with this Kentucky team. I think personally, I think I'd rather lose in the first round and just rip the Band-Aid off. But man, if this team with the talent they have and everything, the amount of money that's poured into this roster, if they're not in the second weekend, it's a massive disappointment. So, from Eli, what was your favorite Darryn Peterson play outside of the dunk? I thought the best play was when AJ went up and guarded him. He got excited and just darted to the basket, and then he switched from his right to his left. That was just he's so smooth and he's unbelievable, man. Jack Carpenter said, just looked soft, man. AJ looks passive, in my opinion. And to a degree, I'm okay with it a bit, like on the offensive end, because sometimes when he is forcing it too much and going after it too much, he gets into these tunnel vision situations where, he's getting collapsed by the defense and has to pull out, it has to put, pass the ball out and everything. But sometimes, because like in the Arizona game, he's too aggressive. When he's too aggressive, he kind of looks for the foul too much. I thought he was making a lot of the right plays, but like Moo Davis was missing open shots. Even Richie missed a couple open looks from him. Rob missed a couple open looks from AJ. Kostic couldn't hit a thing tonight. Poor guy, man. He looked like he was having a rough time out there. So, Eli said I'd rather lose in the first round as well. So I agree. Jack said that was the loudest environment I've ever been a part of. I do not doubt it. It's different. It's different in these different college basketball arenas and these smaller arenas, even though Kansas holds like 15,000, but it feels so tight and there is no room to sit in that arena. You're touching everyone next to you because it's so small and so compact. It's an unbelievable place to watch basketball. So I'm gonna go back through the chat up here. If you have more chats, questions, takes, we'll get to them. Bring them up in the chat right now. Let's keep rocking and rolling here. Tater Coog, we are missing a Foose. We are missing a Trevin. We are missing a Mawit. We don't have guys who care about their teammates and play for them. Well, that's what happens when you have guys. I think there's this interesting thing where I saw John Shire at the halftime. I believe it was like the first Louisville game that they came out or whatever. And John Shire looks at his team and goes, "You guys are not a one-on-one team." And I love that because, well, Duke isn't a one-on-one team. Nobody on there. I think they all need each other to create their own baskets and everything. But BYU, it almost hurts them at times where they have so much talent on the roster with Wright and AJ and Richie where they can go get their own baskets, but it's to the detriment of the whole entire team. This is not a one-on-one team, but guys like Foose, Mawit, Trevin, and those guys, they couldn't create for themselves. They had to have others help create for them, but that helps everybody involved. It gets everybody's confidence up, and that's playing team basketball. And it's trying to find this weird balancing act and having, you could see tonight, like there'd be multiple times where, whether it was Boop open in the corner or Kostic or whoever, Boscovich, where guys would be open and there was a huge lack of trust from the big three to the role guys on this team. So Wise Gamora said, sad that AJ doesn't have a group of good support players around him. Richie might be invisible to AJ. Angela said Richie should have made a statement with the NBA scouts if he hasn't already. He definitely has, man. And people talk about this like, oh, he's a 4-year guy, mission guy, whatever. If I'm using second round picks are useless in the NBA. If I have a second round pick, just take the guy in the 30s. You watch Richie Saunders, and he's going to be able to fit any system, and he's going to be a perfect locker room team guy to have, and he can knock down threes, and he's going to play hard every single night. I'm taking him in the 30s. I'm just not screwing around. I'm not going to waste a pick on, you can get a Nikola Jokic and during a Quesarito commercial, but 99.99999% of the time, you're not going to get that. Give me the sure thing in Richie Saunders, especially if I'm a competitive team. So AJ's getting tripled. I'm getting concerned that Kevin isn't going to figure this out. I think we were in the same spot last year, and I think this coaching staff deserves some time and patience from the fans. I know it's frustrating because you see the roster, you see the talent, you see the money that's been poured in here, but you saw what they did last year in the turnaround they had, where they win 8 straight games in February, knock off the top teams in the country, go on this great tear. This team has the talent and capability to do that, and this coaching staff, I think this 2-game losing streak in the end is going to be a good thing for this team. They needed this. They needed to be punched in the mouth like this and say, hey, this isn't the right way to play, and they're going to have to figure it out. And I'm very curious to see the response from this BYU team. I believe on the road at Stillwater next. I believe that's Wednesday night, if I remember correctly. So moving on. Are we talking about an 11-7 Big 12 team? Let me get the standings pulled up, but you may be onto something. I mean, this Big Ten is phenomenal. I think the bottom isn't great, but the bottom can still win some games. This might be a good take. The standings are not pulling up for me at the moment, but I'll get to that here in a little bit. Let's keep going through the chat, because if Chase was here, I'd just throw it to Chase, and then he'd start talking and everything. But man, there's some rough chats here tonight. I get the frustration. Let's go to Cameron Wilson, 4595. Do we know why Kaba is getting less minutes overall? It feels like Ahmed is playing a lot and doesn't seem as comfortable in the offense and isn't quick enough at times on defense. Cameron, you're speaking my language, because I'm with you. I don't get it. I don't know why. Kaba Keita tonight, I'm looking at the home stats right now, or sorry, the visitor stats, pulling it up. Kaba Keita played 26 minutes tonight. Ahmed played 14, and it felt like, I mean, to be honest, it felt like more than 14 tonight. I thought the rebounds and everything looked good, had a block, but you're right. He looked scared on the offensive end. Now, Kaba missed some bunnies tonight too, so I'm not going to just fault Ahmed for missing that one layup and everything, but I would rather just have the presence of Kaba Keita out there more. I understand you got to give him rest, but I would like Kaba to play 30, 31 minutes in these types of games, because if you're a guard and you're driving in the paint, you see Ahmed, you're like, yeah, he's a big guy, he's got long arms, but you're not intimidated like you are when you see Kaba Keita, because Kaba Keita is going to fly in the sky and swat the crap out of the ball and send it to the 7th row. And so I just think his presence in the paint on the defensive end is enough to where I want him on the floor as much as possible. I understand he doesn't really offer much outside of putbacks and dunks on the offensive end, but I'm okay with his defense, or I'm okay with his on-ball defense when he gets switched and everything. I thought he got burned on a couple times tonight on pick and roll actions, but so did Ahmed, and so did just about everybody on this BYU team for that matter. So Eli said in the chat, Richie will be better than Jimmer in the NBA because he does not need the ball to make an impact. I love Jimmer, and people could say, oh, the Kings ruined him and everything, or ruined his career. I would agree with that as well. This is an absolute W take right here. This is a great take. And Eli, bookmark this, screenshot this, because you might be using this in the future. Let's see here. Wise Gamore said Richie being the top rebounder on the team should be embarrassing to the bigs. It's not great, but also it just shows how freaking hard Richie Saunders was playing tonight. The fact that he had 10 rebounds and he went 11 of 19, 6 of 14 from 3, 5 of 6 from the free throw line. That brutal front end miss of the 1-1. That was awful. Needed that. But just, yeah, you can say it's embarrassing to the bigs and whatnot. I mean, they had a decent amount of rebounds tonight, but I think it more so just says how hard Richie was playing, if we're being honest. So I'm trying to catch up from chats from before. Sorry, guys. When I had Chase in here, I wanted to get to him and everything. From a Jayhawk fan, don't lie to yourselves. This is only close because Peterson was out. If he stays in, you get wrecked. There's 2 parts to this. One, yes, that's true. BYU does not come back in this same way if Darryn Peterson is playing. I 100% agree with that. The other side of the coin is, why isn't Darryn Peterson playing? Why is he checking himself out of these games and he looks fine, and then all of a sudden, just the slightest thing, it's like I got to come out of the game. And look, you still won the game. That's great. You only needed a half out of him, but at some point, if you're a Kansas fan, I mean, obviously you've been dealing with the headache all season. You got to be so frustrated, but like, this is just, it just gets weirder and weirder and weirder and weirder with the Darryn Peterson situation. But he's unfreaking believable, man. And his effort, he was just so effortless. And then he's so in control, man. And he takes tough shots because he's that good of a shot maker. But he's so poised with the ball. He's unbelievable. And people in the chat saying Darryn was hitting every shot tonight. He was, man. He's so freaking special. And I was at the point where I thought the injury stuff was too much for me. But then you can kind of compare it to the Kyrie Irving situation, and 15 years ago when Kyrie only played 11 games for Duke and still wasn't the number 1 overall pick. I think it's closer to 50-50 in my opinion between AJ and Darryn Peterson, because that stuff does worry me a little bit. And AJ's size I do love, and his motor. But man, dude, you can say whoever you want at the number 1 spot. I'm not going to disagree with you if you say one of those two guys. But I just want to know what the Peterson injury necessarily was, because I don't know if it was his ankle that was bothering him or is his hamstring. I'm sure Self got asked about it 10 times during the game. So anyhow, Hogan Smith said earlier, Darryn Peterson got to stop doing this. My blood pressure can't take this. I won't read it out because this is a BYU show, kids show, rated G. DP looked unstoppable but very fragile. And Alex said earlier on, Richie's a beast. Time to reevaluate both our offense and defensive philosophy. Couldn't have said it more. Chase and I will have a lot more on this. We want to do some film breakdowns. It's not going to be on podcast or even YouTube because we can't show the clips. We'll get demonetized and everything will get taken down. So it'll be on Twitter. So go follow at Church Ball Pod. We'll probably post it on Instagram and TikTok as well. But go follow, especially on Twitter, where we'll dive into some stuff from the film and talk about what needs to change and what needs to be better from BYU. But Jack in the chat said, brought this up on the cast, but the teams in the Big 12 don't have a ton of depth. Shout out J-Man. Go follow CarterCast College Basketball. We've got some fun stuff in the works. I had a show with J-Man, and honestly, the stuff still tracks from that episode, so go check it out. Really, really good stuff. He said, can your top 3 guys beat out our top 3 guys? Still think anyone can win in the Big 12. Can win the Big 12. I do too. I mean, the Big 12 regular season, is it out of reach for BYU at this point? Probably not, because everyone's pretty freaking good. I mean, Arizona's probably going to walk away with it. But I don't really care about Big 12 regular season at this point. It's more about, can you just look like a fluid team, and can guys outside the Big 3 step up in any kind of way? But I think this is a great point, because Kansas's depth was definitely much better tonight. You look at, I mean, McDowell hit a couple big shots in this game, but Kansas' starting 5 scored 82 out of their 90 points. This is just what it is in the Big 12 at this point. Jack actually brought this up and kind of surprised me looking at the numbers now, but it's your starting 5 versus the other team's starting 5 in a 40-minute game. I think that's okay, because these guys are so talented, and they're fine playing 40-minute games with the TV timeout every 3-4 minutes or so. So I think it's a great point, because you watch the Texas Tech game against BYU. I believe they had 0 bench points against BYU and still handled BYU as well. So moving on back to the chat, RPC for BYU. Darryn Peterson might be the number 1 pick without playing another minute, which would make me nervous if I was a KU fan. Will he be on the floor in March? I think that depends on how Kansas' season goes, but like, you watch Kansas and you get to the tournament. Let's say it's the first round of a game, and Kansas is let's say they're a 5 seed. They're playing in a 5-12 matchup. You're playing against a pesky Utah Valley. They win the WAC. They have a great season. 5-12 matchup, Kansas. Let's say it's a 5-point game, 16 minutes left in the second half of the first round of the tournament. Does Darryn Peterson all of a sudden be like, I'm feeling a little something in my hamstring, I'm sitting out? Or do you go play and win all game? I think he'll be fine come March. You would think he would be. You would think he would play. But I don't want to discredit the injuries or anything. I'm sure it's all real. I'm not saying that. I just think that he is way more focused on being the number 1 pick than winning for Kansas at the moment. And look, that might be the right move for in the long term. I'm sure that's maybe it's not even Darryn Peterson. It's probably more so what his camp believes. It's probably the right move long term, but I don't like it. It's very Clippers-ish to me. So Shout out Kenley in the chat. Who makes a meaner tater tot casserole, Justine or Richie Saunders? I love you, Justine. I love your tater tot casserole, but you can't score 33 points against Kansas, Justine. That's my wife, for that matter. For my wife, for those listening. Yeah, I'm going to go with Richie Saunders. His tater tot casserole is unbelievable tonight. 33 points from Richie. Moving on. Unfortunately, we have 3 of our starting 5 that can score constantly. Yeah, yeah, and you're not going to get that kind of production from K, but if you get, 9 and 7 points and 10 rebounds from Kata, great. You just want the effort from there. You just need someone to space the floor and keep them honest. Or if they're not spacing the floor, you got to be a menace on the defensive end. And that's why I think, look, you're just not. We've done this song and dance. BYU's played, 21 games to this point? You've seen it. Outside of the big 3, no one can really space the floor enough for you. So just go with the defensive effort and the intensity and become a defensive team. Stop relying on the 3 ball. I got my wife text me right now while we're on the show. We'll do this live. She said, that's me. Yeah, that is you. So maybe she caught up to this point. Anyhow, BYU needs better guards. I think that's fair. Because I think this does go back to BYU misses Dawson Baker. BYU could have really used Nate Pickens. We don't know what he would have been, but you need that kind of other guy to handle the ball. And I think that does just put so much pressure on Rob Wright in these games. I don't think that can be factored into the box score or anything, but when he's bringing up the ball every single time, the energy that takes from him and how much focus he has to, and just bringing up the ball every single time, especially if a team's putting on full court pressure. And you got a guy like Melvin Council who's playing his freaking heart out on the floor, guarding you up in your grill. That just takes out so much energy from you. And then on the defensive end, you're just not going to have enough energy to give both sides of the ball the amount of effort you need. And so having that secondary ball handler on the floor would be huge, because that's another thing when you watch NCAA tournament title teams. All of them have 2 guys who really take pressure off their primary ball handler. You go back to even last year you have Walter Clayton and, Elijah Martin and Will Richard. All those guys could handle the ball and be fine on their own. You go back to 2015 Duke, Tyus Jones, Quinn Cook, those UConn teams, Kemba Walker, Shabazz Napier, Ryan Boatwright. Having those multiple guys who can handle the ball and take pressure off their primary ball handler is so big, especially come March. So I think that's a great point. They do need more from their guards. Let's see here. People trashing on Moot Davis. He went 1 for 6, 0 4 from 3. It's tough, man, especially because I was okay with the looks. You just got to hit him. And that's why he didn't play a lot in the second half, because he just wasn't knocking down shots. And Kevin Young says it in all of his press conferences. It's like, hey, man, look, this is a make or miss business. You got to make your shots. If that's the name of the game at the end of the day, you can have the effort. You can have everything else there. But if you're not making shots, you're just not going to be on the floor. And it sucks for him, man. It really sucks. I feel bad because you saw the light bulb go off against Arizona when he knocked down those threes, the defensive intensity. He was playing great. And then you just relapse almost in this game. So Eli said, what other top 25 college team would benefit most from Rob Wright right now? UNC ? UNC is a great call. I think Duke is actually a good call too, even though Caleb Foster and Caden Boozer have been really good, but I think that's just really good coaching by John Steyer. Off the top of my head, I think UConn would actually benefit most from having Rob Wright. I'm not the biggest fan of Silas Demery, and I think UConn I think that's going to be the downfall of UConn come tournament time, is I don't necessarily love their guard play. Solo ball is so hot and cold. Alex Karaban, he's the 3, but in Silas Demery, I don't think he's a great decision maker with the ball in his hands. I think he second guesses himself too much. I would go UConn actually for where Rob Wright would benefit the most. Actually, Baylor probably. Baylor stinks. BYU fan bro in the chat. We also have a massive shooting problem. At one point, we were 3 of 14. How would you fix that? Easy fix. I'm so glad you asked this question. I don't know your name. Shout out BYU fan bro in the chat. Ball movement and defensive intensity is how you fix this. If you don't, and let's say shots aren't falling, okay, then you got to have your defense ready and get stops, and that will lead to offense at that point. Okay, but then even if you're not getting stops, move the freaking ball. That's how this team won last year. It's a simple game. Move the ball, off ball, hard cuts underneath. Richie Saunders, when was the last time you saw Richie Saunders with a hard baseline cut? It's funny because I'm asking a question to nobody else here. It's just me talking right now. It's just the chat. I don't remember the last time I saw Richie Saunders make a hard off-ball cut. It was last season. It was in February, March in the tournament when guys were pushing the ball, moving it, looking for each other, trusting each other. That's how they can get this the 3-point shooting back on track. Because once again, when you're not touching the ball quite a bit in a game and you're getting these limited touches and you're out of rhythm and you're forcing it, like when Kostic got that ball in the corner today and airballed that 3, he was like, I got to shoot this because I got to make my mark in this game. There was just so much pressure on it. That's got to be loosened up, and it's got to be from just moving the ball, playing together, and not being so predictable. Because if you're a team like Kansas or Arizona, when you have the athletes that go against BYU, and you watch the film and you go, okay, so we just need to throw a slight double on AJ, watch the weak side. Okay, make sure we're not letting up on Richie Saunders or Rob Wright, but we can let whoever that other option is on the floor at the time, we can play a little help off them. If they beat us, it's okay, but as long as we can always have 2 on AJ Dybantsa, whether it's actually on it or as a spy somewhat, it's very easy to read this BYU offense. So great question. Shout out BYU fan, bro. Some on Boscovich, and then he said as well in the chat, I just think the main problem is not enough unselfish ball. That is it, and I really don't think that the players are inherently selfish. Like, I don't watch AJ, and I think he is a selfish player. I think this is by design, and that's what needs to be fixed. Darryn Peterson was looking like Kobe Bryant in his prime out there. Yes, he was. Rest in peace, Kobe. Wise Gamora, Richie 10 rebounds, AJ 1 rebound. AJ not working hard enough. That's a great stat. I want to go back to the film before I dive into that one more. Eli said, wife free throw contest. All right, Richie versus Justine. Give me Justine. What's the Max Kellerman line where it's like fate of the universe on the line? I'm taking my wife over Richie Saunders at the free throw line. Kinley said, we do not have any movement away from the ball. Couldn't tell you the last time I saw someone catch a pass going towards the basket. And exactly what I was saying with Richie, where it's like Richie's the best off-ball cutter in college basketball. He's so unbelievable at it. And he hasn't been used in that sense once because he's in these ISO situations. He's having to dribble the ball too much. He took over this game single-handedly. He is that good, but that can't be his game consistently. When he gets to the NBA level, there's a reason he's not going to ever be in an ISO situation. He's always going to be catching the ball in the corner, taking threes, off-ball cuts, playing hard on defense. That's going to be his role, and that's what his role should be on this team. And that's what everybody's role should be in basketball, is moving, ball movement, pass the ball. It's the reason why the 2018 or even the 2015-16 Warriors are so good. It's because they freaking move the ball. Yes, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are the best shooters ever. But you know why? It's because they moved. It's that drives me crazy. Anyhow, going back, let's see here. Ball movement. Yegor was unbelievable last night. Oh my gosh. Yegor, the double-double in Utah, having a career night there. Just love seeing his the Nets have something special there. And I love seeing like the teams, 5 through 7, I believe. I believe he was the 8th pick. So those 3 teams right there. The Jazz, Wizards. I can't remember who the team that took that was before him. It's funny because people draft night were like, oh, Yegor, this is kind of a bad pick, and whatnot. Unbelievable. He's so good. He was designed perfectly for the NBA game, especially now that he's found his shooting stroke. The fact that with his ball move, his vision on the floor, his unselfishness, the ability to exploit space, especially in the NBA game, he's so special. And I'm sure a lot of Jazz fans are wishing right now they would have drafted Yegor over Ace Bailey. So Wise Gamora said no more gambling with Kostic. Shout out Kostic. Rough game for him, but yeah, I thought he played a little too much. I'll be honest here. I didn't really understand going offense defense for some of the sets. You saw Boop hit the 3. Like, let it roll. Let the good times roll with Boop. Like, Kostic clearly wasn't ready for this game. It looked too bright for him. The offense defense stuff was a little interesting, but Wise Gamore said Rob Wright getting predictable, shoots on 90% of drives, needs to pass more to open up drives. I agree with you. I think this is a great point, and I think there is a lack of trust with the other guys once again. But when he drives, there also has to be movement around him because guys are staying stagnant. Where it's like, all right, shade up to the elbow or something. Got to be able to move off of him. But you're right. When Rob is at his best is when he's looking to facilitate and looking for his shot second. Great point, and I can't wait to get into the film more because I agree. Let's keep going in the chat. Yegor was ducking Peyton Watson in Denver. # noticing. Peyton Watson's been awesome. Johnny Jackson. How about Hooper Flag? Save my Mavs. You're not going to find a bigger Cooper Flag guy on this planet. I mean, there's like maybe 2 guys that I would want over Cooper Flag to start my franchise with. He's going to be so special. I love Cooper Flag. He is. I mean, what he's doing against the Hornets. He's unbelievable. I mean, he's gonna win multiple NBA championships. He's so good. Justine, my wife in the chat. Thanks for the support. I also think I could potentially drop 35 on Kansas. Yeah, I believe you. I totally believe you. Yeah. Kinley said, world was rocked today. Learned how to pronounce Yegor's name last night correctly. And Kevin Young didn't even know how. Yegor duped all of us. I talked to Yegor dozen plus times, and every single time up until he was in the NBA, it was Yegor Demon. And I'd ask Yegor, I said, how do you say your name? Yegor Demon. Okay, yeah. Hello, I'm Yegor Demon. He would say it in interviews all the time. He even said it to the coaching staff. He said it to everybody in the building in Provo, and all of a sudden it's Yeoman, whatever it might be. You're still Yegor Demon. I'm calling you Yegor Demon. Moving on, RPC for BYU said, what happened to the lobs to Kaba? We had 2 to 3 per game last year, and they have seemed to have disappeared. They tried a couple early. I think it was the first play of the game, and then it was the first play of the second half as well. They love to go to that lob for Kada, and I love the if you watch those plays, it's a great design play, a lot of movement, and it's usually AJ gets the ball on the left elbow, and then he's looking for Kaba on the roll for that alley-oop with that backdoor cut on Kaba's guy. It's a great play, and Kaba just didn't grab the ball. It wasn't a great pass to him, and Kansas sniffed it out a little bit. But I think it's a great point. I think he needs to be used more. I think Kada in transition too is also something I want to see more, where it's like great transition defense where you can come down and get that chase down block, but also as an alley-oop threat in transition. A lot of reason that we had such good ball movement last year was Yegor. He didn't really perform to what we expected him during the regular season, but he was always making sweet assists. And also, you had the Yegor turnovers last year that were a problem in some of the games against more physical teams and everything. And look, you live with the Yegor turnovers last year because you don't want to limit his confidence and limit his passing ability because that's what makes him so special. But he was so good, and how he saw the game is just, you can't teach that kind of stuff. So you're right. You're dead on because it all starts with your best player. And last year, yeah, Richie was scoring the most and everything, but Yegor is the best player on that team. And just having that fluid ball movement, everybody moving off. And it almost was a benefit to that team last year of not having one-on-one guys. Where Yegor, if you had Yegor go one-on-one against the dude, you're like, this is a bad shot. He just get him into motion, get ball movement going and everything. And so not having that one-on-one guy forced BYU to adapt and change their entire philosophy on the offense, where it's like, all right, we have to change everything. And you still have to do that in college basketball. You figured out the blueprint last year. It doesn't matter on personnel as much. It's just moving the ball and playing unselfish. Wish we had Yegor back, difference maker. Shout out. Yegor still needed another year. I think he's doing just fine. Jack said Cooper Flag or Con. Knipple. I love Con. I do. Con's near and dear to my heart. Cooper Flag is this dude, man. I'm just happy I got one of those two Duke guys, and we got Sion James shout out on the Hornets, but I can't get enough of Cooper Flag. You hear me talk about Cooper Flag right now. I don't even have words. That's how special I think this guy is. He said, back to the chat, these last 2 games we've struggled to punish double teams on AJ. This team definitely needs more willing passers, in my opinion. They do, and they just need to trust each other more. And it needs to just look for the pass more rather than looking to score all the time. And I think that's the key moving forward as well. But, fellas, ladies and gentlemen, we've gone an hour here mostly solo. Shout out Chase hopping in from Lawrence, Kansas. Shout out everybody that went to the BYU game today, Jack and everyone. It looked like an awesome environment. But BYU doesn't get it done, 90-82. Chase and I are going to put out some social clips, doing some film breakdowns and everything later this week. We will have an Oklahoma State preview coming out to you as well, I believe, on Monday. Make sure to follow at ChurchBallPod on all social medias, at Karter BA, at Chase_Rogers as well. Field of 68 Podcast Network. Like, subscribe, do what you got to do. You guys know the drill. Apple, Spotify, subscribe, 5-star review. And look, we were at this part last season talking about BYU lost to Utah. This team wasn't even a tournament team at this point last season. I have full faith this coaching staff is going to turn things around. Things are going to be fine for BYU, but it's time to start seeing it. So it's about February. March Madness is right around the corner. Let's see the change. Let's see the ball movement. Let's see all the stuff. So appreciate you guys. Make sure to tune into our shows next week, previews and everything. I said that already, but appreciate y'all. See y'all. Adios.